much every game you make. And the loop is what we basically use to repeat something over and over again. And we have three types of loops. They are the for loop, the while loop, and the do while loop, which is basically the exact same thing as the while loop with one little addition. So let's go ahead and start with the while loop, which is the most easy to understand. So what if we want to see out something to the screen a whole bunch of times? Okay, let's say we're going to make a program that laughs and it just prints ha 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 forever. Well, how are we going to do that? We're going to use a while loop, and it's very similar to an if statement in its structure. We're going to say while, and then we're going to have parentheses just like an if statement, and then we're going to have a body just like an if statement. So a while loop is something that repeats forever while whatever is in here is true, okay? So we could say while 3 is equal to 3, okay? How long is 3 going to be equal to 3 for? Well, forever. So let's go ahead and see out ha. And we should get ha 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 infinity times. Let's see if that happens. Look, there it goes. It's never going to stop. What have we done? What have we done? Just kidding. Just hit the stop button if it's going on forever. So this is always going to happen. We can also just type true here if we want to, and that'll also work. If we put a false here, a false here, then this is never going to happen because it's just like an if statement. Basically, the way this works is what it does is it first checks this condition. Let's say the program starts. It's going to come over here and it's going to check this condition. Is 3 equal to 3? Yes. So we're going to do cout ha. And then when we get down here, since it's a loop, we come all the way back to the top and we check it again. Is 3 still equal to 3? Yeah, it's still equal to 3. So we're going to cout ha again. And we do this forever. But what if we don't want to do it forever? Let's say we only want to print out a ha 10 times. Well, what we need to do is use a counter. We need to count how many ha's we print out. So we're going to say int counter. And what we're going to do is we're going to start it at 0 because right now we haven't printed any ha's out. Okay, and we're going to see out a ha each time, and we're going to say counter equals counter plus 1. Okay, and this is going to take our counter, right, and set it equal to itself plus 1. So when it's 0, it's going to be counter equals 0 plus 1, which is 1. And let me teach you a quick little trick. This expression right here is the exact same as saying counter plus plus. That's why it's called C++, because that's what incrementing by 1 is in C++, is you use a plus plus. We can also use a minus minus if we want to go down by 1. This is just a fast way, it's not faster, it's just an easy way to add 1 to a variable. So this will take counter, which is 0, add 1 to it, and we'll get a 1. And then up here in the while loop, we need to actually check the counter. So we're going to say while counter is less than 10. So you might say, oh, Ben, why aren't you doing less than or equal to 10? Well, if we do less than or equal to 10, it's going to actually happen 11 times. Count on your hands. If we start at 0, it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's 11. That's 11 if we do less than or equal to 10. So we just need less than 10, and that's going to make ha happen 10 times. And let's go ahead and see out the counter after each ha too. So we're gonna count the number of ha's as we go. So counter right here, and let's actually do that after we increment the counter so that we can see the new updated value of the counter. So end L. So we should get ha, and then the counter should say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 beside the ha's, and I need an end L, not an end. So we're going to run that. Okay, there we go. Ha 1, ha 2, ha 3, all the way down to 10. See? Loops are awesome. This is how we're going to make all of our games continue to run. It's with a loop, so it keeps going. Now, if we wanted to do this in a simpler fashion, what we actually did here is what's called a for loop. This is, we wrote it as a while loop, but it's got the actual same functionality as a for loop that does the same thing. Now, let me show you what a for loop does. I'll show you a for loop that does the exact same thing. You type for, and then you do parentheses, just like the while loop, and then you have your body. See how familiar this looks? It's the exact same thing. Now what we're going to do is there's actually 3 parts. It's a little more complicated in here, but it ends up becoming the same thing as this. So the first part you type in this is what your counter is going to be, right? It's this guy right here. So we're going to say int counter, and then we can set it, we need to set it equal to something. We need to initialize it. If we don't initialize it, it's not going to really work right. So we're going to say int counter equals 0. Now we type a semicolon. This is a three-part statement, so we're going to have two semicolons. So what's the next part? Our condition. This right here, this counter is less than 10. So int counter equals 0, and we're going to do this as long as counter is less than 10. Okay, and then we do another semicolon, and the last thing we do is something that happens every time we go through this one time, and that is counter plus plus, right? This is how we increment our counter. So now all we have to do is take this right here and put it here, and this is the same thing. It's going to be a little different actually, because here we're counting the counter after we add it, but here we're going to see out the counter before we add it. This counter plus plus right here only happens here at the end. So counter is going to be 0 for the first time around, then it's going to be added, we're going to add 1 to it, and then we're going to keep going until we get to 10. So we'll print that out right now, and you'll see that it does work as expected. We get the 1 through 10 for the while loop, and then we get the 0 through 9 for the for loop. They are identical. However, the for loop is much easier to type. It's really small. This is what you want to use because it makes your intentions clear. And if we wanted to make it 1 through 10 instead of 0 through 9, what we should do is just put a counter plus 1 here, or you could start counter at 1 and say less than or equal to 10. But you'll notice I tend to start at 0. You really should start at 0. We'll learn more about that later, but everything is 0 indexed in computer science, and I'll tell you what that means later, but just when you're in doubt, start with a 0 for your for loops, and then use a less than sign to iterate 10 times, for instance. So this is a while loop and a for loop. There's only one type of loop left. It's a do-while loop, and I actually never use do-while loops. I don't really see a need for them. You can do anything. You can do the stuff you need a do-while loop for. You can do that with a while loop and just changing it around a little bit. But if you want to use a do-while loop, that's fine. So I'm going to teach you how. A do-while loop is written like this. You write do, and you don't have parentheses, and then you have your body, and at the end you have while, and then you put your parentheses here, and here's where you put your counter is less than 10, or whatever your Boolean expression is going to be. Remember, you can have and in here and something else. It can be anything you want. It's just like an if statement. And then you need a semicolon at the end here. That's why I don't like this one. Look how weird this one looks. I just don't really like it. But what it does is it guarantees that everything in here is going to happen at least one time. So let's go ahead and copy paste our old code up here. With the counter plus plus and the ha. Now all three of these things are going to print out the same exact thing, and let's go ahead and verify that. No, I have build errors. I redefined counter. We don't want to redefine counter. So we're going to say we'll have 3 counters. We'll have a counter 1. Oh no, I hit a hotkey. There we go. We're going to have a counter 1. And we're going to have a counter 2, and then we're going to make sure to type them all in right, and then we're going to have a counter 3. We could have reused the same counter, but I just did this because I did. Don't ask me questions. So we're going to hit play, and we're going to get the desired output. Yes, so we get 1 through 10, 1 through 10, 1 through 10. These are all functioning the same right now. However, the do-while loop is a little bit different. So what if we start these counters at 11, okay? This counter is going to equal 11. We're going to start this at 11, right? Is 11 less than 10? No. So this is not going to happen. We're not going to even get a ha here. However, this one will happen. So if you ever need it to be guaranteed that you're going to have this occur at least one time, which sometimes you do need that, then you're going to use a do-while loop. And I'll show you. Let's say do ha here, and we're going to say for ha here and while ha here, so we can differentiate between the 3 loops in our print statements. So what's going to happen here is the while and the for are not going to print anything, but the do is going to print something, because what happens is the counter 3 is equal to 11, but our program doesn't check anything here. It just says do. So it's like, all right, I'm going to do it. So it adds 1 to the counter. So counter's 12 now, and it prints out do ha 12 here, and then it's going to go here and go, is 12 less than 10? Well, no. So this is false, and we quit. Remember, anytime whatever's in here is false, right here or here, if anytime that is false, the loop will end. So let's hit play and verify that it works. Look, we got do-ha 12, just like I said. So here's our 3 loops in our repertoire. There's only